The updates I'm about to share with you are a little bit ridiculous. I'm boggling my mind on where to start, but I'm very excited to share them with you. So in case you missed it, Canva has just unveiled a whole range of new updates for us as small business owners in Canva. Now, obviously there is a ton of different updates and it's really tricky for you just as an everyday business owner trying to run your business and use Canva to know which updates are relevant for you, how to use the updates. And sometimes as a business owner trying to do absolutely everything in your business and know how to use Canva, it is hard to keep on top of everything. And so in this video, I'm going to cover the updates that matter to you, what they actually look like in your small business, how to use them really briefly, and just hopefully get you excited about the different things that are now available to us as small business owners in a really user-friendly platform. Now, I'm not going to go deep dive into absolutely all of the updates today. Today is acting like a bit of an overview and a bit of a summary on how you can start to use some of these ASAP in case you're like, I can't wait. And then make sure you hit subscribe because over the coming weeks, I'm going to really deep dive into a lot of these really key tutorials that are absolutely going to change the game for you. Now, just as a bit of a sneak peek so you know what is coming, like honestly, this is definitely a whole video worth watching. I'm just going to look at my notes right now so I don't forget anything. We're going to go into things like the pixel eraser, to the updated video editor, how you can post to Instagram straight from Canva, how you can do meta ads straight from Canva. You can add gradients to your text. You can design emails. You can design forms. You can collect data from your Canva Code items. You can password protect PDFs. You can do screen recording of your entire screen, not just Canva. And one of my favorite, and I think one of the most underrated tools, Style Match. I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. So buckle up and let us dive into the newest range of Canva updates from November 2025. I am feeling like puffy trying to work out how to share all of these with you, but I've got it sorted. I've got a list, I've got a structure. You're going to love this process. So before I dive in case you haven't met, hi, my name is Jacqui. I help business owners utilize programs like Canva, utilize design so that they can be professional, incredible businesses without feeling overwhelmed by the whole process. Because design, I really believe, is one of the most powerful tools you can use for your business. And obviously, because of that, I love teaching Canva because it is a very user-friendly platform at an affordable price. So let's dive into the first one. The first one I want to do is a simple one, but a very helpful one. It is called the Pixel Eraser. And so if you are inside a design, see I've got this picture here, instead of just being able to do the background removal where you click and it removes the background automatically, you can now paint to remove any part of the graphic you want to. Now this was kind of available inside Background Eraser, but if you didn't have Canva Pro, you had no access to this and it was a little bit clunky inside Background Eraser. So now all you need to do is click on an image like this. And when you click on the image, you'll see this little eraser option. Now when you have that, you have the option to Magic Eraser or Pixel Eraser. Magic Eraser is a pro feature where you can kind of click on different parts of the image and make decisions based on that. So you can either paint or you can click. I won't go into that now because that's a previous update. But what you can do now is just click on the Pixel Eraser. And in here, you can literally just paint away parts of the image that you don't want. So say, for example, I wanted to get rid of this clock. I could zoom in on the clock and I can just click and drag and it will paint away the parts I don't want. This gray and white checkered background shows me that that is now transparent and it's cutting it out. So this will take a little bit of practice for you to be able to do this neatly, but it is a really great tool for you to do things. And so if I could just paint all of this. Right, so I've done the basics and it's obviously not perfect at this point. And here is where you can refine. So some great tools for refining are to toggle this show original on. And that way you can see the original way you've cut out a little bit so you can paint in and fix things. So if I hit restore here, I can then go on to maybe changing the size of my brush and paint this back where I've gone a little bit over and I wish that I didn't, and I can paint it back. So you can go in and refine as much as you like with restoring, with changing the sizing, and with showing the original versus not. And then once you're happy, press done. And now this has got a hole in it. So I could, if I wanted to add a shape or something in the background here, I could send it to being behind and it's like a full hole cut out of my image. So enjoy that one. You can cut out holes. You can just cut around you. You can do whatever the heck you like and explore this Pixel Eraser feature. All right. So that's number one feature. There is a lot to come. They released pretty much 8 big updates. So let's keep on diving in because there is a lot. All right. The next one I want to show you is a really fun one. And so before I show you one of my favorite updates that is to do with text, I'm going to show you one that is an AI update. So if you go over to your Canva, open up Home, and you toggle across to Canva AI, there's quite a few AI updates in this one. But one that I'm really enjoying is if you hit on the design panel. So this is an old update where you can pretty much prompt to design something. So I can just write a little prompt, do an about me post for Instagram pretty much. And so to do that, I might add in a picture of myself. So I might upload a photo. And then the updated part of this, which is much needed, is the ability to connect your brand kit in. Because in the past, when I've done previous update videos, I've shown you this is really great, but it's not using your branding. And that's kind of annoying because it takes an extra step for you later on to add your branding. Whereas now you can connect your Canva brand kit. So if you have Canva Pro, you can have your brand kit, which has also been updated, by the way, and you can connect that to your AI. So if I press this plus button, I can press apply brand kit. There's also now the option to import. I'll mention this really briefly here because you can now connect your Google Drive or your Dropbox or your OneDrive and bulk import things, which is wildly useful. I won't go into that now though, but you can apply your brand kit. So if I hit on this, I can then select the brand kit. So I've got a few brand kits. So I'm going to hit white deer. And now I can press go and it will then use that brand kit to design things. And so in your brand kit, I'll go into this in a moment, but you can add in things like your brand voice, brand photos, brand colors, brand fonts, etc. And so it's going to use that as a base to create this design for you rather than just creating a generic design. All right, so we can see here it has created a few designs for me. I can toggle across and it will show a few more. And I can then click on this one, say for example, and it will open up at the side here and I can press use Canva editor. And that is now a fully editable design for me. You can see it's used my photo. It's actually created a few AI images to match. It's used my brand colors and it's used my brand fonts. It's not like an incredible design, but this is a really great start as a base for you to work from ongoing. So I'm loving that update, especially with the brand kit joining. So while we're on brand kit, let's now toggle across to the new brand kit. To access that is in the same spot as always, which is brand over on the left-hand panel. This is a Canva Pro feature. So if you don't have Canva Pro, don't stress, you don't have it. But there is some updates here. I'm going to go into a full deep dive video on this in the future. So make sure you're subscribed to catch that. But in essence, it's brand kit, but just kind of structured a little bit better with a couple of additions to it. So if I click on this, you can see it shows me all of my brand logos that I'd already previously loaded in, colors, fonts, etc. And it just gives you a little bit more of flexibility. And especially if you're directing team around how to use your brand, this is a great one. You can also create some brand guidelines in here as well. So that is there, but I won't go into a deep dive in this video in particular because I have a lot more features I want to share with you. So next up is one to do with Canva Code. So if you weren't aware, Canva has the option where you can, I'll just show you inside home as a recap. If you go over to Canva AI, instead of design over here, you can instead click on code and you can pretty much ask Canva to code you anything. I've used this a lot for myself. I've got full tutorials dedicated to this. But there is an upgrade to Canva Code I want to share with you, which makes it even better and is something that I literally was frustrated at this week with it. So if I go to Canva Code, this was a quiz that I've made recently where it shows you what graphics you need to make for your business. So this is a design that I've coded. And if I go to start quiz here, I can go through here, But what the problem was is I could never collect the data that was created from this. So if I sent out a quiz to my audience or if a lot of Canva Code things need ability to collect data and that wasn't possible. But now this is a Canva checklist. I can have the ability where I can literally ask people filling out my form here that I've created just through Canva Code for their email address. And so I could type in my email address here, press unlock my results, and it's going to share with me my results here. So if someone was to fill in this checklist, I never would have gotten those results. Whereas now, if I click on this data button, it's created a Canva sheet for me that houses all of this data that is collected. So you can see if I click on this Canva sheet, it's now going to have the data entry that I just did where I can see the information that's in here. But you can also see that it's got the option to update my data. So if I go to the data panel here, I can say refresh data, and that's now going to show me the latest information that's been added because I've actually done this quiz twice. So now it's updated to show me the most recent updates. So if you send a form out or a document where people are entering some sort of information, like you can see here that I can see the exact things that people have checked, and I can also see the email address because I've asked them to add that. I could have asked them to add anything at all, as well as all of this information, and I can now collect that data. So you can do all sorts of things with this, and it's a more living and breathing document, which is so helpful for us as business owners. The other update that there is to Canva Code is if I press use in design, in the past, if you wanted to make any color changes or design changes to the Canva Code, you had to do it through the prompting, like make it have a purple background or change the font to this. Whereas now when I press use in design, I can actually update this a little bit myself. So you can see I can now click on this and it would change the colors. If I want to make this more on brand with my colors, if I want to change the background to a color, all of that is done straight away. I can even update the fonts. So I want it to be in Poppins. And this is all done without having to go back into the Canva Coder and change things. So that is a really helpful one. And again, I can click on data and see the different data that's been brought in through the document. And so that is a fabulous update. Now, speaking of being able to collect data, there is another incredible feature I'm very excited about called Canva Forms. And so in the past, there's been no way other than in Canva Code to create a form and then even then you still couldn't like interact with it. So now you can either use Canva Code to create a lot of different things, or there's a much more basic and easy way to create a form. I'm actually creating a form this week for my audience for when they join me for a masterclass, and I'm going to get my team to create it right in here, because what you can do is collect data, create really incredible forms that look beautiful right inside Canva. Now, the caveat to this is it needs to be used on a Canva website, or you may be able to embed it into a current website. I haven't looked into that yet. I will be making a full tutorial on this. But as your brief overview, I'm just going to go into here. So this is a web page I created for a retreat that I ran. It was a really great retreat, but the issue was when I wanted someone to apply to it, they had to click on this button, and then that would then take them to a Google form because Canva had no way to collect data at that point. Whereas now I could embed that form directly into Canva. So I'm going to create a bit more space here. Remove a little logo and remove my button here. And instead I can add in my form right to this area. So to do that, I'm going to go to Elements. And you can see the Elements section has had a little bit of a refresh. We've now got, instead of seeing everything listed out, you can then select what kind of thing that you want. So you can select shapes or buttons, which is really helpful. Graphics, photos, stickers, 3D. I'm going to go into a few of these soon. But Forms is the one we're going to look into now. So if I click onto Forms, you can see that there are forms built in right here. So if I want to find a form that's similar to what I wanted, so this one's an application. So I might click on Business, hit See All, and then I might choose this onboarding checklist. That might be what I need for now to get me started. So if I click on that, it's now going to insert this little form. So I'm going to click on this. It's kind of like an editable element. So if I grab this, make it a little bit larger, just like I would any normal shape. And in here, I can update this to be whatever I want it to be. So if I click on this, you can see all the options up here. I can press edit, responses, changing colors, changing fonts, etc. I'm going to leave the fonts and colors the same, maybe change it a little bit to purple because your girl loves purple. And then I can press on responses if I want to see the data that's being collected from here. And then I can also press edit. So in here is where I can just, like any normal form builder, add anything to this. So I can have collecting of your name. So I can choose that this is going to be a short answer section. I can then have a required steps. I've then got a checklist section. So I can choose, I want that to be a checklist, and I can choose a little heading for that. And then I can press add a question. So say I wanted to add in a spot that collected their star rating for the retreat. I can press star rating and press rate your experience. And I can choose how many stars I want them to be able to select from. And that's right there. Again, I can then add in a new question. Maybe it's a long answer. And if I want to, I can then move that up. I can choose I want that to be a required section. And then this whole form is being made, and it's beautiful. It's right inside Canva, and my audience can edit it. And so then you would export this website, share it, and then you would be able to start collecting responses. Again, make sure you hit subscribe because I will be doing a full tutorial on how to use this, but I think it's a wonderful feature that it looks beautiful, and I'm so excited by it. Something else that's worth noting for website designs and even PDFs, which I'll show you in a second, is that you can now password protect them. So if I go to share, publish the website, which I've already done, I can click on settings down here, and I can choose to, if I want it visible on search engines, I can also choose if I want it password protected, and a few different options for me there. Similarly for PDF designs, if I was to go to share, so I've just opened up a PDF I want to export, and I could press download. When I select a PDF here, I can choose to password protect it, and I can choose the password I want it to be. And now that PDF is password protected. So I think that's a great little feature that's just so simple, but really helpful if that's something you've been desiring. The next new feature I want to show you is their updated video editor. Canva has promised, this was their exact words, that this is going to be the best video editor for content creators, which is very exciting. I haven't tested this out a lot yet, but in essence, I think it's going to be a lot smoother, which is a really great benefit. So I had always found the Canva editor a little bit glitchy and a little bit tricky to kind of get exact. And so there are some new features in here that are going to make it a little bit easier. And Canva has been releasing some incredible features with their video editing recently. Like if I go to edit here, you'll see there's upscaler, there's reverser, there's video speed, there's repeat, there's background remove, there's highlights. There are a lot of great features that were already there. And I think this has just been bulked up and created to be even more reliable and easy to use. So make sure you check that out if you are wanting to do videos in Canva. You can also do captions. There's a lot coming. I'm going to do, again, a full breakdown of the video editing features soon. So make sure you're subscribed for that. But in essence, check that out. See if you can notice what the changes are. But I think it's going to be a lot easier to create different layers, a lot easier to move different parts around rather than having kind of more rigid pages. And I'm excited to see what it looks like. Something else you can now do is post directly to Instagram from Canva. So not just kind of scheduling and fancy things, you can literally post straight from it. So this could be a reel, a carousel, a story, or a post. And to do that, all you need to do is go to share and search Instagram here. Just to note that there is also YouTube. So if you're doing a full YouTube edits in Canva, you can also export directly to YouTube from there too, which is exciting. But today I'll just show you the Instagram export. So if I click on Instagram, you need to connect your Instagram account, which I've already done. And then I can kind of see what that looks like. I can choose if I want it to be a feed post. I can choose which pages I want it to be. For this one, I'm going to choose a reel video, and it gives you a little preview of what it's going to look like. In here, I can select which pages of the design I want to use, and I can also select which cover I want to use. So if I had a cover image for this reel, I can choose that right from inside my design as well. I can then choose to type in a caption and then share it all directly from Canva. You can also choose to schedule the post as well, which is a really cool feature. The only downside I've seen in this is that I can't link trending audio, which is something I usually do for all of my posts and reels. But I think it's a really great start in here, and it looks really quite reliable. Another exciting new feature, and this has been seeded, like I've seen this in my Canva for a couple of weeks, and that is Canva email. So you can now design emails directly inside your Canva, which is a great feature because emails have been notoriously quite ugly and hard to make look beautiful. Now, caveat here with my tests, which I'm going to show you in a moment, it doesn't always work amazing for all different platforms, but I'll give you a brief overview so that you can choose and find out if it works well for you. Another caveat is that emails need to be small in size in order for them to be received easily and not be blocked by email servers. And in my test of this, Canva did not automatically compress the images or the designs, so the email took a long time to load in my tests, which was not ideal. But if you know those things, then you can compress them yourself and re-upload the images. So it's not a deal breaker by any means, but just something to keep an eye on. So to make an email inside Canva, hit on the email section, which is a brand new part, and it will bring up kind of an email editor, kind of like when you did website design, it kind of brought up a different shaped design. So that's what this is here. And you'll see there comes up a ton of templates. So you can generate your own template if you want to, or you can choose from the options that are available to you. Now, I've already started this, so I'm going to jump across to that. So this design I've edited to match my branding. I've swapped in my own photos, and it is looking really good to go. Now, I can do test emails from here, which is really exciting. So you can just press send test email, and I can press to send that to my email address. It's going to default, and I can't edit this to being my email address that has been connected to Canva. And I can press send test email, and that will then send the email directly to my email account so I can check it and how it looks in real life, which is wonderful. Then when you're ready, you can see that it says get more out of your design. You can download it, use MailChimp or Gmail. So if you're a MailChimp user, this will be quite seamless for you. There is not a ton of other programs joined at the moment. So if your email platform is not here, you can hit on the download button and you can choose to save it as HTML and images. So if you do that, what it's going to do is download a HTML file, so pretty much just a ton of code. You can paste that into your email editor and also the images that you would upload separately into that. So when you download, you'll see what it finds. It has the email HTML. And so for me, I would open that up in my text edit, and that's going to show me the code for that I can then copy and paste into my editor. And it's also got the images from that email saved separately. So I could go into my email editor. For me, I use Kartra, and I'm going to, instead of using its builder, I'm going to press source and I'm going to load in the HTML. So I'm going to go to that HTML that Canva spat out for me, copy all of that and paste it in here. Now, if I toggle off source, it's going to then show me a preview of that email. And you can see in here, it's got pretty much the layout done, but it does not have the images. And so for the images, I would then need to go in and upload those images. So let's say, for example, I drag in this one, and I would go through the email and load in all of those. Now, again, you want to make sure that you're compressing these images. For example, if I look at the sizing of some of these, you can see that this one here is 1.2 megabytes. That is far too big for an email. In fact, most of these are too big for an email of what I'd normally recommend for a good load time. So you need to make sure you're compressing these separately. And when I did some test emails, my email, it actually looked like this, like it had all these boxes and tables, and it didn't do a very good job. So don't get wildly excited about this before you test it with your particular email platform. If it does work for you, then that is a really exciting feature where you can make incredible, beautiful emails, especially if you're an e-commerce brand. If you're an online business like a coach or creator or consultant like myself, I don't think investing in this kind of drastic layout is as important. But if you are an e-commerce brand or a retail brand, then this could be a really great feature for you. The next feature I want to show you is to bulk export. This is a really helpful one. If you've got multiple designs you've created and you want to export all of them at once, in the past, you would have to open up each design and export it, or select each design and export it, whereas now you can export multiple graphics at once. So if I'm just inside my White Deer opt-in, so my lead magnets, I could select all of these designs or just a couple of them, and I could then press download. So you see this button here. This is unfortunately a pro feature at this time, and I can press download designs, and I can choose to download these 3 designs at once instead of having to go into each of them and downloading them. So those are now 3 separate PDFs downloading just from clicking and selecting them rather than having to open them all separately, which is wonderful. So if you've got multiple designs or bulk creators created like 100 designs for you, you can select them all and download far easier. Now, before I get into some more design tool updates, which I'm very excited for, I want to show you the meta connection. So pretty much if you're creating ads, you can publish them, view analytics straight inside Canva. I think it's called Canva Grow. And so if I press share here, I'm inside a Facebook ads kind of design I've got at the moment. If I press share here, I can go to this meta ads section, click on that. And then in this process, I need to connect my meta ads account, which I've already done on my end. And I can choose all sorts of things. I can then click on this image, click on my different ads accounts and go through and add in all the primary text, choose which images I'm using and do all of this, choose my call to action. And so it kind of just is taking, instead of having to create your designs in Canva and then export them and upload them into meta ads, you can create in Canva and upload straight to meta ads straight from Canva rather than having to do a few different steps. They're also boasting that this is a great way to view analytics. So this is the kind of stuff that might come up after you've shared an ad. And it's just going to make it easier for you to go in, update the ad if you're noticing it's not performing well. And again, all right inside Canva. They're saying too that if you're using other ad platforms that they'll be connected in the future. So far, we've just got meta ads, which is for Instagram and Facebook, which is what I'm using. So that is a perfect thing for me. And believe it or not, we've still got my favorite update yet to share with you. Make sure you hang around to the end to see that. For now, I want to show you the next update for the designing of things. This is a really basic one, but so useful. Friends, you can now add gradients to your text. So in the past, Canva has updated that you can add gradients to the background of your designs. To make a gradient, you just need to click on the color, select the little editing tool, toggle over to gradient, and you can create some beautiful gradients right inside Canva. Wonderful, good times, love it. But that was never able to be applied to text. It could only be applied to backgrounds and to shapes. Whereas now, if I click on this text here, you can see I've made it into a gradient. So exactly the same way, you just click on the text color and you can choose to make it a gradient. So if I didn't like that one, I could choose a color here. Again, click on my editing feature, click on gradient, and I can make whatever gradient I like or select a previous gradient, or you can even add a gradient into your Canva brand kit so that's much easier to access. Love that one. The next feature I want to share with you, which is part of a bit of a broader update. Canva has now got the ability to kind of use their AI features in more of a conversational way right inside Canva, instead of having to go to more of separate apps within Canva. So you could always do it inside Canva, but it's much more of an inside when you're designing the actual graphics. So I'm going to kind of go over that in the next few updates I'm going to share with you. But first, I want to show you how you can generate your own shapes. So if I go to elements over here, if I click on shapes, Canva has a ton of really great shapes. I really love these shapes. You could use these shapes to create a logo if you wanted to, because they're just plain old shapes. Plus, they're really versatile. Like if I was to click on this, it is something that I can add in stroke to, I can add corner rounding to, I can change the colors of. It's a very versatile shape. It's also what's called a vector format. So it's going to remain really high in quality all the time. I can also stretch it out and I can do a lot of things to it. It's very, very versatile. And a great feature that's now available is this way to generate shapes. If I click on this generate shapes button here, so I can type in a prompt here, speech bubble that looks like a heart, and I could press generate shapes. And the benefit about this is it's not just generating some kind of boring flat image or this great, beautiful, fancy image, which is wonderful. It's actually generating me a vector image. So if you are wanting to create your logo inside Canva, this could be a really great way to do it and have it spit out something that's really versatile. So you can see if I click on this one here, this is a little heart-shaped speech bubble. This is honestly the dream. And I can then click on this, I can change the color of it, I can add in a gradient, I can add in a stroke, I can do so much to it. And I just generated this shape. It's full quality. If I zoom in, it's not losing quality. It is a wonderful vector-based shape. So if you've been working with me at all, if you know any of my courses, this is a really great tool for us to have at our disposal. All right, next up, I want to talk you through 3D elements. This is brand new to Canva where you can have 3D things. So this is a little deer that I've implemented. So if I click on this deer, you can see that I can actually rotate him. I can click on this rotate button and I can click and rotate him around. I can put him up, down, anywhere at all because it is a 3D element, right? Incredible. If you want to access these elements, again, you just go to elements and instead of clicking on shapes like I was just in, you click on the 3D option and there are a ton of 3D elements already in here. So I can click on this one or this little world one, which I find probably the most useful, to be honest with you, because it is really helpful to look at all the sides of the world. And that is right here for me to use. Now, another great thing is that you can even create your own 3D elements. To do that, it's not actually inside this section, so don't get confused there. You've got to toggle over to Magic Media. And if I toggle across from images, from graphics and videos over to 3D, I can then type in here something that I wanted to make me as a 3D image. So you can just type in your prompt here. I'm going to type in here lilac deer holding a paperclip and press generate 3D. And that's going to start generating a 3D image for me of whatever I wanted to. So for me, my business is called White Deer. So I'm going to generate a purple deer holding a paperclip because why not? So it's done. It is hilarious. I'm going to click on this and it's going to insert into my design. Oops, I did 2 of them. Let's delete the other ones so that we've got some space here. And again, it's a lilac deer holding some sort of paperclip. It's not perfect. We would have to do some refining to this. But again, you can see that I've got this 3D image. It's definitely not perfect, but if you want to create something for your business that has this kind of vibe, for me, it's not quite my brand style, but it might be. I might lean into this more as my brand style if it's something I can now easily do inside Canva. So many options, but you can see the world is your oyster with this opportunity. And now I was saying that you can use Canva AI right inside Canva now. So you might see this little Ask Canva option on the top of your designs. When you click on this, you can see a few options here. You can generate text. This has always been available, not always, but for the last few years. You can make an image. You can give me design advice. So if you've got a graphic, you can ask it for advice. So I've just gone over to some ads that I've designed. So if I go to Ask Canva, I can say, give me design advice. And now I'm a design coach, so I'm not sure how I feel about this, but if anything that can help you design better graphics. So let's see what it does. Obviously, it is AI. It's not a human. I always believe in humans' opinions over AI, but usually it gives us some good pointers to begin with. So if you feel like your design's not working and you are not in one of my programs to ask me for a human's advice, feel free to ask Canva and see what it says and see if it makes sense to you, see if you can apply some of those changes. So you can see it's now given some text here and saying to tighten hierarchy, create contrast, unify font styles. And so if you're feeling like your design isn't working, try that out and see how it goes. Or if you would like a human's thoughts and feedback, all of my programs come with a human's feedback. So my DIY course for business owners learning how to use branding and designing Canva for their business, we have feedback inside there. It's just called DIY Design My Biz. And I'll pop the dates in the description. I've also got a program called the Co-Creation Design Club that goes a lot more. I'm kind of like your creative director and work closely together, designing, screen sharing, editing your graphics, screen recording, like doing all sorts of things for you to make sure your graphics are incredible, but you still have full autonomy. Anyway, that is that option for you there. You can also do things like asking it to rewrite your text. You can do things like turn this into an image. So there's a lot of features here you can use right inside Canva with that. And there's one tool, part of the Ask Canva new area that I'm going to show you at the very end that is probably one of my favorite updates of this whole drop. So almost ready for that. I've got a couple more updates to show you and then we're ready to dive into my favorite. The next update I needed to make sure I let you know is it's less to do with Canva and more if you are wanting to explore some more heavier design things. So I think last year Canva partnered with Affinity, which is kind of like a Photoshop, like Adobe competitor, and they are far cheaper and from what I can tell, really good quality. From what I can understand is that they have just dropped firstly the ability to create in one program. So if you, just as a brief summary, if you're part of like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign, if you want to design a vector image or a photo or a document, you have to use 3 different programs and it gets a little bit finicky going between them. Affinity has promised that they now have everything inside this one document. You can work on a vector, a pixel, a layout, all inside this together, which is, I don't know why it's not been done earlier, which is very exciting. But beyond that, can you see this Get Affinity button? They say it's free and they say it's free forever. I don't understand the business model. You can have access to a professional design program for free, which is absolutely ridiculous. And if you have been a past Adobe user, you can import all of your different files into this program. So I am going to test this out personally. It's very interesting and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. We've got it on Mac, Windows, and coming even soon to iPad, which is absolutely incredible. All right, and one last feature I want to share with you before I get into my absolute favorite feature, and that is screen recording. So if you want to record your full screen, so in the past you could record a presentation and that was really great in Canva, but now you can record your whole screen. So this is kind of like a competitor to Loom or Vimeo Screen Record. And so if I go into my Canva app, so what I mean by that is, if I show you my panel down the bottom here, I have Canva as an app. And so that is a totally free app. You just have to download it from Canva. And so if you go to uploads and go to record yourself, instead of just having to record yourself in a presentation like was normal, you can now screen record for your full desktop. Again, if you don't see this, you may not be inside the Canva app. If you're inside the Canva app but you don't see it, you'll need to update the app, which is what I just did. So I can press screen recorder for desktop and it's going to let me screen record my full screen. So you can see all the different things we've got here and you can then insert that straight into your design. So if I press start recording, it's going to have trouble actually because I'm already screen recording. So I'm going to actually not do that right now. Let's see if, and so it'd have to go to settings, allow all the different bits and pieces. I'm not going to do that now, but you can kind of see how that would work. And so explore this if you are looking for, again, Canva is just really good at bringing lots of different tools that we need into one spot. Now, our Google Sheets, our documents, screen recording, like websites, emails, so many things are in here together, which just makes the program far more powerful and a lot less hassle for us going and switching between different things. So if you're needing a screen recording for your business, which I use every single day for mine, this is a really great option for us too. And now drum roll, please. I am excited to share with you my favorite update from this drop. And it's going to seem less interesting to you until you realize the power of it. So that's why I wanted to save it to last, because I want you to think about how you can actually use this for yourself. As a business owner, if you've been following me for any length of time, I really believe in consistency and a strong brand. You can't just use random Canva templates and pop them up. I need you to have a strong brand, strong colors, strong fonts, strong brand elements. Because the big thing that business owners do is they skip having brand elements. So brand elements are little illustrations, patterns, visuals that back up your brand. Like I could use the same fonts and colors, but if I had different styles of elements and illustrations used all the time, my brand would look totally different all the time too, which doesn't create brand consistency, recognizability, and professionalism. And so this feature is going to help you create and curate brand elements, and not just any brand element, but consistent brand elements. And so what you can do is you can see this deer is a watercolor deer, and this one's kind of like a basic hand-drawn illustration. And if I had watercolor designs in my brand and I wanted to create more of them, it's really hard to find elements all with the exact same style. And so that's where this style match tool can come in. What you can pretty much do is select an illustration that has the style of graphic that you like. So say for example, this deer, and you can apply that styling to a different illustration. And so I could apply this watercolor to this flower. Now, at the time of recording this feature has just stopped working for me, but thankfully I have a past version that I did that I can show you what it resulted in and how I actually did it. So keep an eye out for this in case it comes back again, which it will, because it was incredible. But pretty much what I did was I clicked on this deer, and you can see this, this copy style button at the top here. This had two options. If I was to click on this, I could either copy just the general style, or I could copy the illustration style. Like it kind of looks like this little icon here. It's got more of the little sparkles next to it. And then I clicked on that, grabbed the copied style, and then I pasted it and clicked on my mouse onto the flower. And it would apply that illustration style to my different graphic. And it resulted in something just like this, where it took the makeup of it, but it applied the same style to it. And I thought that was absolutely incredible. And so if you have any kind of illustration style, like I looked at some of these graphics, for example, say, for example, you had this kind of black and white clean illustration style you wanted for your brand, but you found some binoculars. You're like, these are great binoculars, but they're in the wrong style. You can copy and paste the style, and it is such an incredible tool. So keep that one in the back of your mind, have that at your disposal. And another feature I want to share with you is that you can ask Canva to change style too. So I could go to Canva here in the Ask Canva section, and I could press change style. I could even just type in here, change style to a colorful watercolor. Press submit, and then it kind of begins a discussion with me. And what the great thing about this is that I can actually keep on designing, and then I just have to come back to this discussion later and see what it's created. So I can see, oh, there's a reply, click on that, and you can see it's made a watercolor illustration of that same kind of style, just like that. And so this is some really great features, especially when you're creating some really cohesive designs for your brand. And the same vice versa, if I want to apply this style to this graphic, I can do that by pressing that copy style button as well, as long as it's working by the time you're watching this tutorial, like it stopped when I was recording this. Some other things worth noting that I haven't mentioned yet is you can also design mailer boxes. There are mailer boxer templates, which is so helpful. So if you're creating like 3D boxes that you want to send out in the post to your clients, you can now design them inside Canva really easily. Canva's also released a new subscription that's more for businesses, like large businesses. For me, I'm fine still on the normal subscription, but if you are having like multiple brand kits or need larger space to upload, there's a new subscription available to you that's kind of like a middle in between the basic and between like enterprise levels. I took a little screenshot during the keynote of some other updates that I haven't mentioned all of these right now, but I wanted to show you this so you can kind of cast your eyes over it. Feel free to pause the screen. There are a few extra things like background, magic background, quick calculations inside spreadsheets, bulk delete, bulk printing, so you can do multiple different sides to your printing, which is wonderful. Team context, which I think also looks interesting, and a few other like drag to columns, a few other things that are just really helpful. They like to spitball these out right at the end of the keynote. And so I'll be getting into some of these that I find relevant to you in the coming weeks and months inside my channel. So make sure you're subscribed. But thank you for watching that update. I need you right now to jump into the comments and let me know which update you are the most excited to start utilizing in your business and testing out. And make sure that if you are feeling like design is starting to feel really stressful for you, even though there's Canva and Canva is really great, but you don't really have a full brand, or your designs still aren't looking right, or you just don't understand how to use Canva properly yet, I have a workshop called Design Tools to 100K, and it is totally free, and you can sign up, watch that instantly, and in there I'm going to share with you 3 design mistakes you're probably making that are making your designs look amateur. I'm also going to share with you some Canva hacks and shortcuts that are going to save you absolute hours, and you're going to get to watch me live design a graphic with you so you can see how a professional designer creates something. Plus I'm going to give templates and so much more right inside that free masterclass. There is a link in the description to catch that. I totally recommend watching it if you are someone who is serious about making sure your business looks the part and that you are saving hours rather than getting stressed when you're using programs like Canva, and that you can show up professionally without having to spend thousands on a graphic designer. So thank you for joining me today. Hope you found it helpful. Excited to see you diving into these updates, and I hope to see you at the Design Tools to 100K Masterclass. If you're not already, hit subscribe, hit like, and I will see you next week for one of these updates as a bit of a deep dive. See ya.